And good evening, Patriots. I know you've all had a very, very trying day today. It's good to see you guys here tonight. I know there's a lot of things out there going around. We're going to look at everything like we do. So, yesterday I was talking about the Knights of the Patriot community, and Charlie Kirk was easily one of those people. And for someone who was only 31 years old, he managed to accomplish a lot in his age. He was able to reach an age group that's extremely difficult to reach, being the college crowd, but he did it, and I wonder how they're feeling tonight, these people on these campuses that he changed their lives by going out there all the time. And we're going to look at everything. Last I've seen, they've captured the guy. They had the wrong guy earlier. I don't know what that was about. Almost felt like a decoy or something. They've got some video of a guy on the roof. We're going to look at all of this. Just remember, vengeance is mine, so saith the Lord, guys. It's been a trying day, but you got to hang in there, guys. The Delta for today. Find peace and solace through prayer. There are good people standing behind you. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself, because nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. God bless. The sad thing was, it was reported that his wife and kids were in the audience today, and it's tragic. It's completely soulless, needless tragedy. I'll just tell you what I saw. I get these alerts on my phone every time something major happens in a major city, so I knew about it pretty quick. And at first, the news didn't make it sound like it was a big deal. It's like, oh, we got the guy in custody, and then I saw the video, and that video is horrifying. It was pretty horrifying. I don't even know what to say about it. There's no way in heck I'm playing it here, but if you really want to see it, you can find it. But it was horrifying, and let's just look at a couple things here. What happened apparently fairly early in the event, not long after this video was done.
All right, we're going to get started, everybody. You know how it works. Question and answer. Also, thank you to Lane from YRE5. That was great. Really appreciate it. And we're going to be here for a couple hours. Get comfortable. Bring the best libs that Utah has to offer.
You can see it was a massive audience. I would easily say there were thousands of people there. It was a chaotic situation. They were passing out hats. take a look here.
Because we are getting new reporting in right now from the president about Charlie Kirk, as this was actually a fatal shooting coming down right now.
It was about 2 p.m. roughly my time when it happened, and about 2 hours later, after about 4 p.m. my time, was when the president announced that he had died.
On Truth Social from the President of the United States, saying the great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania, and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, family. Charlie, we love you. So obviously an unfortunate finality to this as the shooting transpiring at Utah Valley University. And I just want to put up just some of these scenes one more time.
God bless Charlie Kirk. I mean, he was a true warrior. We'll look at the roof situation. I got a couple videos here. This, of course, the first one is so quick you can't tell. And then follow the arrow there. There's a man running away on the roof. And then this video was taken.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from, over, where's my finger?
Here's he's laying
Over
up there.
Ran in. And now he's right there.
And so, either way, Kash Patel put out a message that he had been caught. I wanted to show you what Juan O'Sullivan had put out on his Telegram page. He's on right now. We're going to look at that in a minute here. Subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. Kash Patel put that out not that long ago. From Juan O'Sullivan, Charlie Kirk is now the Robert Kennedy of this generation, for we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness in high places. The intensity of his life and light are now burning more brightly than ever in the souls of the millions of young and old who've been touched by him in this world. The cleansing action of a million bright lamps burning in the souls and minds of those who are left behind to continue Charlie's work will relentlessly endeavor to eradicate every dark principality from all their roosts and nests in this powerful and high places of our society and world. Let's thank our Father in heaven for every brilliant and beautiful moment Charlie Kirk was with us in this world. We'll meet again, and we will enjoy his company and infectious laugh soon enough when we walk together on the golden streets of our Savior's paradise. Godspeed, Charlie. Yeah, it was, you know, when the notice popped up on my phone, a shooting, there's so many of them lately, I scrolled past it real quick, and then I thought I saw a Charlie Kirk event, and I scrolled back and it said Charlie Kirk shot at event, and it was wild. If you saw the intro, you saw that we hit another boat out of Venezuela. People are asking, how do they know there's drugs on the boat? How do they know, you know, I don't know, but I trust they know what they're doing. They said they had 13,000 pounds of coke on that. I don't know, you know, it is what it is. Oh, I forgot. There's one more thing we had to look at regarding Charlie Kirk. Again, don't shoot the messenger here. Oh, there's a couple things I gotta show you.
Patriot Princess. I think Charlie Kirk's death is fake. I think President Trump and Phil were trying to tell us beforehand. Phil posted All Eyes on Me earlier today. Godlewski 105, Charlie Kirk 105, Sudden Death 105. Then look at his next post. Look at all the capital letters. TTP 56, Charlie 56. Then go back to Phil's post on September 6th. He posted an earpiece emoji 5 times. Earpiece in Gematria 5 times is 310. You can die if you are never born 310. Charlie Sheen was just on Jesse Waters, and he said that very same thing in his interview. He said, apparently you can die if you were never born. In Charlie Sheen's book, he says that he was born dead. And look closely at that interview. Charlie Sheen talks about playing basketball with Michael Jordan. Phil posted about Michael Jordan. And in the interview, the camera is zoomed in on Charlie Sheen's face. He turns sideways and touches his earpiece, making sure that everyone is looking at his earpiece. You can also see Jesse Waters' earpiece very clearly. Earpiece 62, shot 62, and Charlie was being interviewed.
Refuses to accept, and I said, Michael, you know the whole thing was filmed. He said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Never happened.
He can never accept it.
Yeah.
So you went on.
But it was cool. It was cool, but
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You went on to star in Platoon. Took your career to a whole nother level. Johnny Depp was one of your co-stars.
Yeah. Now let's look at President Trump's post this morning at 8:44 a.m. Look at all the words that are highlighted. Animal 50, Utah 50, where Charlie Kirk was shot. Bush 50, Bush did 9/11. What's tomorrow? 9/11. Quick 61, fake death 61. There is no doubt 175, March 14th 175, which is March Madness, which is Q-Post 911, which is tomorrow 911. Look at the end of Trump's post. It says God bless him 113. Think Mir 311. Spell 311 out, comes to 119. George Floyd 119. Is the truth about 9/11 and George Floyd going to come out? That all these false flags are planned and inside jobs? What about JFK's death? Is that truth going to come out? That it was an inside job? And that the bad guys were planning to kill him? But the good guys were ahead of the game? So they had to fake his death? Just like Charlie Kirk? Look closely at the JFK video. His head explodes in the convertible. Jackie doesn't even flinch. Most women that see their husband get shot right there, they'd be screaming. She doesn't even flinch. She's so serious, deadpan. She picks him up, runs to the back of the car, grabs something that's handed to her, and goes back to him. Not once does she scream, duck, cry, nothing. Looks planned to me. Looks fake. She knew it was coming. What if that's Hollywood exploding blood that you saw at Charlie Kirk and on JFK? What if bad guys did plan to kill JFK, Diana, Jr., Charlie Kirk, etc.?
What if the moon was made of
good guys are in
cheese?
control and always ahead of the game? What if we are in a psychological operation with good guys in control, awakening the masses to the truth? What if there was a satanic cabal in charge and the good guys had to fight fire with fire? They had to survive by fake deaths. It was about the art of war. They had to confuse their enemy, like Diana says.
I
It was a problem, full stop, never happened before.
don't get all of those things go together, but I should show you this too, that they cut off the news.
I turn and look, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zim. Yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit loony boon, maybe a perfect person to pick and say that did it, but I don't think he did it at all.
So at this point, but did you see him taken into custody? Did you see him with any kind of thing in his hand, any device in his hand or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw when they actually put the handcuffs behind his back.
Okay.
I know this it's not quite in sync. There is one of it in sync, but it's shorter. I want to play it again because I totally screwed the audio.
They were arresting a guy by the name of George Zim. Yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit of loony boon, maybe a perfect person to pick and say that did it, but I don't think he did it at all.
So at this point, but did you see him taken into custody? Did you see him with any kind of thing in his hand, any device in his hand or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw when they actually put the handcuffs behind his back.
Okay.
I followed them.
All right,
when
we're going
they
to go to
took him
Jason
the trooper
Chaffetz.
car.
Obviously there's going to be a lot of theories that are floating around. That individual saying that he believes that he knew the person that was taken into custody. He doesn't believe that person did it.
They cut him off the air before he said if that guy even had a weapon or not. That was ridiculous. So, yeah, that was going on. He said the name George Zim. I don't know what you can take from that. It's sounded like a madhouse, honestly. Moving on here. The situation in Poland's interesting. First off, this is weird, isn't it? This picture, home damaged in Poland after Russian drone incursions. Does this look anything like the other drone explosions we've seen? I mean, it's just some minor roof damage. It almost looks fake, doesn't it? You know what's funny is I'm pretty sure World War II started with a false flag out of Poland. And that kind of interesting. Poland invokes NATO Article 4 and warns we are closer to armed conflict than any time since World War II. Of course, Trump said, what's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go. We'll take a look at this.
I do want to start, though, now with some breaking news. Take a look at this. We are getting this update out of Poland. However, the entire update is in Polish at the moment, but it does concern the fact that the country early on Wednesday said that multiple Russian drones entered and were shot down over its territory with help from NATO allies, describing the incident as, quote, an act of aggression carried out during a wave of Russian strikes on Ukraine. Several European leaders said they believed Russia was intentionally escalating the war, and NATO was discussing the incident in a meeting. It came 3 days after Russia's largest aerial attack on Ukraine since the war began, an attack that for the first time hit a key government building in Kyiv. We do have some social media posts here from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky responding to this entire incident.
All right, so there's that. What do you guys think of that? And I want to show you what these drones look like. I don't know what drones are supposed to look like, but...
Overnight, there was a major Russian drone attack on Ukraine, and Poland says some of those drones, a huge number of those drones, crossed the Ukrainian border and were shot down above Polish airspace. Now, Polish and NATO air defenses were scrambled overnight to shoot them down. This is not the first time a Russian drone has strayed or crossed the border into Polish airspace. It is unprecedented because it is the first time that one has been shot down over a NATO country. Now, Poland called this an act of aggression. The numbers are still being worked out. And the Russian Ministry of Defense released a statement. They didn't confirm or deny they were Russian drones. They said there were no intentions to engage any targets on the territory of Poland. But the view from you.
So that the tail end of the drone, Russia, of course, like they said, there denies doing it. Just like the situation the other day in Ukraine. And the other situation that happened just a little bit ago in Lithuania, which we'll get to. Elon Musk says he's going to contribute $1 million to fund for Irina Zarutska murals across the United States. She was pretty, wasn't she? Someone offered $500,000 and $10,000 grants to paint murals, and Musk said he would contribute $1 million. Andrew Tate matched it, so it's a pretty interesting situation. DeCarlos Brown Jr. in an audio recording says why he stabbed Irina, sorry. He's pretty out there.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material used my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
It ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
The material in his body killed her, is what he said. The material lashed out. Now they have to investigate the material in his body. Make of it what you will. This situation, I almost showed you this video the other day. This girl was sitting in her classroom. I feel like this was a college class, but I could be wrong. Oh yeah, a Texas A&M professor. She ended up getting fired over this. See what you guys think of it.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching. Because according to our president, there's only 2 genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies' funding programs that promote gender ideology. And this also very much goes against not only myself, but a lot of people's religious beliefs. And so I am not going to participate in this because it's not legal, and I don't want to promote something that is against our president's laws as well as against my religious beliefs. Yes. You are under misconception that what I'm saying. Can you explain to me how teaching us about gender identity and transgenderism and that there's more sexes than
gender isn't illegal.
Huh?
My gender isn't illegal.
Gender? What do you mean? Your gender is not illegal. According to President Trump's executive order, if you want me to read the paragraph in the order itself.
If you are uncomfortable in this class, you do have the right to leave.
Yes.
What we are doing is not illegal. And if you would like to claim that it is, you need to talk to the department or the head of it.
Well, I've already been in contact with the president of A&M, and I actually have a meeting with him in person to show all of my documentation tomorrow. But
we are also aware, and this is part of why there was an observer in the class.
Yes.
I'm not convinced that your proposal will be effective in stopping me from teaching things that are biologically true, because I do have the legal and
apparently it did.
Okay. Yeah, no, I am.
So she did get fired for that. I wondered what you guys thought. I wanted to say something, by the way, about the debate the other day. I felt like Mark Cook didn't get to explain his side, so he's actually going to be coming on the show Sunday. If you're here, we're going to do a live interview and talk about election integrity, security, hopefully a little bit of his role, and Tina Peters, and just the things he didn't get to say, his side during the debate. And I apologize for being a bad host, I didn't know I could mute microphones and stuff like that, or might have had a whole different outcome. And so either way, you get to see Mark Cook Sunday, and it's going to be a great presentation. So I really hope you guys are here for that. You will enjoy it. Yeah. Moving on, MJ Truth shared this. The total investment in Mecklenburg County by the MacArthur Foundation, $3.3 million to contribute safely reducing the jail population. What these funds have been doing is been paying to let prisoners out early, basically. And it's everywhere. Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Florida, Arizona, Washington, Missouri. And there's a long list goes on. There's Idaho. All these prisons and all these foundations and all this money paid to have prisoners let out early. Who would have thought, huh? I'm sure we can guess where that money comes from. And Anthony Fauci, and a little bit of stuff again, proved that he had directed his employees to delete these emails after you read them, which he lied about in Congress. Rand Paul uncovered that situation. Fauci's in deep doo. He also, MJ also pointed this out. I just wanted to show you. It's, typical media tricks and crap. This is from the Associated Press. He noticed how they capitalize the word black, but they don't capitalize the word white. When they say black man, white man. It's just little things they do, basically. In the village of Croton-on-Hudson, a suburb near New York City, a longtime resident and disabled Vietnam veteran won his fight to fly a Trump is my president flag on his property after a long battle.
Imagine you lived in the same town for more than 6 decades. You're a veteran. You live in a blue state, but you fought for our country, and you enjoy the privileges and rights that you fought for, the First Amendment being one of them. Our next guest says he's had a Trump flag on his property since 2021. The flag says, "Trump is my president," which he is. But he's been ordered to take that flag down by the Democrat mayor of a town called Croton-on-Hudson in New York because the flag does not follow the village's content-neutral code, whatever that is, and that the flag has to be put on a flag pole. The flag currently hangs between 2 trees on this gentleman's property. And joining us now for more, the resident behind all of this, Leonard Amicola, and his attorney, Rose Ann Schuyler. Great to have you both on. Lenny, you had this flag on a flagpole at one point before. Tell us what happened one night.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us.
Sure.
Yeah, it was flying on a flagpole, and I woke up one morning, and the flagpole was gone, along with a nasty note, which I really don't recall what the note said, but I was turned over to the police department.
Okay, I don't mean to laugh, but that's how ridiculous we've gotten in this country, Roseanne. Lenny has pled not guilty, as he should. He was served with a notice violation.
Have you guys heard of any other neighborhoods doing things like this, where they have this content neutral rules about your yards and your property? Most people kind of feel like it's my property. I can do whatever the hell I want to do on it. And so this guy's a veteran, for crying out loud. So just wanted to show you that story. Of course, this was the Delta for today. The buckle up, buttercups. It's about to get bumpy. We, the people all over the world, we are witnessing the worldwide revolution. Nepal Prime Minister resigned today after the people made their voices heard. France demands Macron to resign. Yeah, there's good things happening. I was looking at this post again, thinking of the Wano Savant stuff we're going to look at, where Cash Patel says having a beer with at Q right now, and you see the plaid shirt elbow thing there. I swear there was that episode with Nino or Juan had his plaid shirt elbow sticking out, and that was all you could see. I don't know how I missed this either with the 322 on the cards, you know. I totally missed that. I must have been blind. Of course, the skull and bones stuff, 9/11 stuff. Interesting. Muslims in France are threatening to burn down the Notre Dame Cathedral unless French authorities release Ibrahim al-Sawi, a Muslim migrant who killed 3 French citizens by stabbing them inside of a church. France is really badly erupting into mass protests right now.
نطالب الحكومة الفرنسية بإطلاق سراح أخينا إبراهيم العيساوي. إذا لم يتم إطلاق سراحه فإن غضب الله سيحل على شعبكم هنا في فرنسا. ستحرق كنائسكم القذرة بإذن الله.
It's a horrifying day for television like that, isn't it? My God. Anyway, in France, riots everywhere. Highways are clogged, blocked.
And we have big breaking news coming in from France. There is a protest underway in many cities of France. It's called Bloquons Tout, which means block everything. The intention is to bring the country to a standstill. The extreme left-wing people, the people who follow that ideology, are on the streets of Paris and many other cities like Marseille, and they are trying to tell the government that they are not happy with their policy. And these protests are now intensifying in France. Violent far left.
It's all over the world, guys. It's erupting. The world is erupting. People are fed up. I saw this article today, the New York City terror threat, what we know. So I looked at a couple things. First was, in response to Israel and bombing Qatar yesterday, but the second one really wasn't.
This is what the Queens Midtown Tunnel looked like during the evening rush on Tuesday. Extra police cruisers and officers.
So we knew about that. They stepped up police yesterday.
A warning tonight from the NYPD and the FBI about increased threats against critical infrastructure here in the city. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says threats are typical this time of year around the UN General Assembly, Jewish high holidays, and 9/11.
We take all threats seriously, and we are working with our federal partners through our Joint Terrorism Task Force as we investigate. Out of an abundance of caution, we are surging resources, and you can expect to see an increased police presence at critical infrastructure locations.
The commissioner said the threats against infrastructure include bridges and tunnels connecting Queens and Manhattan. Police sources say that these
bridges and tunnels. I always thought it would be another bridge go down. The appeals court ruled that Trump does not have the authority to fire the Copyright Office director. This gets so ridiculous.
President Donald Trump fired the director of the U.S. Copyright Office, Shira Perlmutter. Perlmutter was appointed by the former Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, in 2020. Hayden was also fired just days prior. Like Hayden, Perlmutter was also notified via email. The director of the Copyright Office oversees 6 directories and 450 staff at the agency. Representative Joe Morelli, the ranking member of the House Administration Committee, blamed Perlmutter's firing on her recent report on using copyrighted material to train artificial intelligence systems. According to Perlmutter, such a practice, quote, would undermine rather than further the constitutional goals of copyright. Morelli said of Donald Trump's firing, quote, it is surely no coincidence he acted less than a day after she refused to rubber stamp Elon Musk's efforts to mine troves of copyrighted works to train AI models.
Copyright and artificial intelligence. Why do we have to make everything complicated, right? All right, guys, we're getting there. We're about done with the news. We'll see what Juan's saying about today. Senate committee approves Trump's Fed board nominee, raising concerns about its independence. Briefly.
Ranking member, Dr. Myron brings deep experience, proven leadership, and a clear commitment to ensuring that the American economy remains strong and competitive. He has also guided policies that strengthen domestic production, reduce trade imbalances, and bolster economic resilience. The work of Dr. Myron directly affects the lives of everyday Americans and the prosperity of states like my home state of South Carolina, where hundreds of thousands of small businesses rely on policies that foster growth, investment, and opportunity. Dr. Myron is ready to step into this role that is critical to advancing opportunity, promoting accountability, and protecting American prosperity. I look forward to confirming Dr. Myron and the contribution he will make in his service to our nation. We will now vote on the nomination of Stephen Myron to be governor.
You see how Congress could get extremely boring. No wonder some of them fall asleep. Israel launched more strikes on Yemen's capital today, trying to target more Hamas leadership. Take a look. There's not really much to all that yet, just some more footage, brief footage. So you get the picture there. Nationwide raids taking place on Chinese vaping products that include formaldehyde. I thought something just popped up that said they were still looking for the shooter. Formaldehyde and other toxic poisons target children. Federal marshals seized 50 truckloads today. Contains hundreds of thousands of illegal Chinese vapes loaded with toxic chemicals, hidden nicotine, THC, and formaldehyde. Taking a look at the raids.
I thank Marty McCary, who's the head of FDA, and Gadi Saralta. And Gadi Saralta, the U.S. Marshals, an attorney, and U.S. Attorney Boudreaux, and all the people at ATF, at the Marshals Service, at FDA, who participated in this raid. During the Biden administration slow-walked approvals of U.S.-made vapes. Those companies were behaving responsibly. They were sharing consumer information. They were putting appropriate labels. They weren't using bubble gum and candy-coated flavors and these vivid colors to attract kids. And they were including chips in all their products to deter young people from using them. Because of the vacuum that was left by the failure to timely approve U.S. products, Chinese products flooded the market. And those products...
I'm glad I don't vape. I know a lot of the young people very much, that's just their thing. And it's so, they'd be better off smoking cigarettes probably, sadly. But it's nice to see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on top of those types of things. Canada and India are reevaluating their relationships with Israel after the Qatari strikes, according to their foreign ministers. 3 people were shot at a Denver area high school today. Another shooting that kind of got buried in the news with everything else happening.
So the first information that we have from St. A's is that they have those 3 critical victims. As Chris has said, we believe that 2 of them are students based on information that we're also hearing from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. We'll try to be as clear as possible when we get new information about not just what is being said, but who is saying it as well.
We do have a live update from Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Let's go there now.
1828 South Highwan Drive. The new bits of information that I have are that we have for sure 3 people who were transported to the hospital. One of those 3 is our shooter. They are all juveniles and all are critical right now. There may be a 4th person that was transported from a location in the area of where this happened. That could have been somebody who was running and fell. I don't know what that injury is. The school is clear. We use teams from all over the metro area to help do a sweep of that school, and that has been done. There is no active threat to the community or to our students anymore. A lot of work for us to do in the aftermath of this because we have a lot of kids who witnessed, either heard it, saw it, have indicated they were shot at. So we have a lot of interviews we need to do with these kids.
It's kind of shocking, isn't it, that they didn't have it plastered all over the news, huh? All right, we're about there, guys. Look again at another nationwide blackout in Cuba.
Streetlights and storefronts across Cuba went dark Wednesday as the national power grid collapsed for the fourth time in less than a year. Cuba's grid operator said the failure occurred a little after 9 a.m. local time. Many residents across the island had already been experiencing daily blackouts of 16 hours or more.
You know what I'm concerned about is Trump going to the Yankees game tomorrow. You guys think he'll still go after the events of today? Or if he does, that he'll take different precautions? Maybe not sit down there with the people? I don't know. It's a pretty wild event. Former FBI leaders accuse Kash Patel of carrying out political purge on behalf of Donald Trump.
A new and explosive lawsuit against FBI Director Kash Patel filed by former FBI executives. That lawsuit alleges Patel knowingly broke the law when he carried out the firings at the behest of the White House, and it quotes him as saying he knew he could get sued for firing agents without cause, but that his job depended on removing people who had worked on cases against President Trump because, quote, the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it.
Oh, Kash wouldn't do that, would he? Oh, come on. Like I said, there were powerful explosions that rocked Lithuania, fuel tankers that caught fire. Whether or not it was from Russian drones, I don't believe it was, but of course they tried to make it look so. And of course, Lithuania is right there near Poland and trying to make it look like Russia's just going haywire. What sense would it make for Russia to start attacking all these countries outside of the Donbass region? It makes no sense whatsoever. Teachers are suing over Trump's immigration crackdown, saying that children are staying home and afraid to go to school. This, I think, started about 2 weeks ago with the D.C. stuff.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court has given the Trump administration clearance to move forward with roving immigration crackdowns. That includes in Chicago, where the government is launching Operation Midway Blitz to round up suspected illegal immigrants. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
One day into a new immigration enforcement operation in Chicago, the Trump administration says it's targeting public safety and national security threats.
We're not out sweeping neighborhoods. We're not out looking for non-criminals. Now, if we run into a non-criminal during these operations, they're absolutely going to be taken in custody.
Operation Midway Blitz in Illinois comes as the Supreme Court has temporarily removed limits on what critics call aggressive, unconstitutional immigration roundups based on factors, including a person's apparent ethnicity.
Yeah, well, they've been making some arrests already in Chicago. I seen something else really horrible today on Law and Crime about Decatur, Illinois. It was a teacher that got arrested for sleeping with an 11-year-old student. She's got to be mentally ill or something. I don't even have words for that kind of shit. The Texas police issued a shelter-in-place earlier when there was a gunman at large near the park in Austin after shooting a police officer. Did you lose me for a second? He's supposed to be in custody now.
All right, as we begin the 9 a.m. hour here on Daybreak Plus, I'm Brian Mays. We're continuing to follow that breaking news we've been bringing you all morning long. An Austin police officer was shot early this morning, just after 4 o'clock. The search for the shooter lasted more than 4 hours, but we're now told that Austin police does have someone in custody. We're expecting to learn more about that person and the circumstances surrounding this morning's activities coming up in just about an hour from now.
At least they caught the guy. 4 hours it took them. I want to make sure they caught the other guy. Ted Cruz issues a warning over Christians being targeted and executed, though, of course, can't find anything on that story. All right, that is our news. Let me double check real quick, make sure there's nothing new on this shooter incident with Charlie Kirk. I'm pretty sure they've got the guy in custody. I can't bring it up. All right, well, let's turn to Juan and we'll see what he had to say. Bring this up. Let's skip forward.
1, 2, 3, 4. I told you so.
Robert Kennedy's candidacy and what was happening. And so it was just so unexpected, so unanticipated. The height of the excitement of winning the California primary, and then to have it dashed so suddenly, unexpectedly. And it was kind of a 1-2 thing. And of course, from a different level than just the physical and in the spiritual realm, the devil himself. You know, they didn't get Trump, but they did get Charlie. It's a defining moment. It only increases our resolve to complete the mission that we're on, that he did such a beautiful job starting with. You know, there was nobody really in that environment hard with the youth when he entered and began his work with Turning Point. I was very early supporter of Charlie Kirk, and there was things that we disagreed with. In fact, I went out of my way on one particular thing with the early voting to make sure that he and others around him knew that we had grave concerns about that. But that didn't change my resolve to support him and the people around him, because that was just a minor thing in the overall picture. His rallying people to a conversation about what life is like in America, what our religious life is as a people, absolutely fantastic. And he's my hero. He's one of the great heroes that we all will remember as we move forward. And I think of like those great rockets that would take spacecraft up and even to the moon flights. In the early stages, breaking free of Earth's gravity is so hard. It's takes so much energy. These huge first stages might be 80+% of the total weight of the rocket. And when they have run their course and break away, you are left with something. You're left with the momentum of all of their energy. Yes, it breaks away and falls back to Earth, but all of that energy is still with us. He brought us to this tremendous point where we could break away from Earth's gravity. All we have to do now is to just fire this next generation. They have to launch. They have to ignite and proceed forward with all of that energy that's stored in us, the kinetic energy moving thousands of miles an hour, free of the slowing down of Earth's oxygen, things like that, and go to new heights. And that's exactly what I believe we will do with the energy from his life. And, how many people think of every life in this audience, 32 years of age, to be able to accomplish so much in such a packed in time? Where were you at 32? Okay. Where were you? He burned hot and fast and accomplished a lot, and tremendous gift from God himself. And now it's up to us to help the next generation to ignite fire, take their part up with all that momentum. A very small amount of effort on our part with all that momentum, you can go to the stars. We're halfway to the stars right now.
Hey, Juan, several have texted me knowing that I work for you, and they said, with the supposed Russian drones that Russia says not theirs, and Article 4 being invoked by Poland, Ursula, State of the Union of the European Union, somebody in Trump orbit leaking his location at that restaurant last night, this happening to Charlie today, all around 9/11. Is there a symbolicness to all this?
Well, I think there's a desire to take the energy of a particular day to further villainize this moment of the year. The true birth date of Christ is regarded by many, and I agree with it, as 9/11, 3 BC. There's been very scholarly work. So why would that date be so valuable to the devil himself? Forget all the minions, okay? The devil himself is projecting through these people, puppeteering them. It's an important time of the year to turn our attention to something else and to win and own those moments. And, we are in a precarious fight situation. This is far from over. Trump winning the election was only a component of a much larger battle, and not just for America, but for the whole world. And so, today, for example, in the Congo, about 100 people have already lost their lives. Another 100 in addition to the 100 yesterday. Even though we're in supposedly a peace situation, there's still great drama going on. Great concerns next door in Uganda, where you have 2.5 million people and their food supply is about to be cut off. They're all refugees out of the Congo, half of them under the age of 18. Horrors, traumas, dramas that are less public are taking place. Even the deaths in the Ukraine. How many people died since Trump tried to get a ceasefire in place? Just a ceasefire, and we'll work out the rest of the details. Everybody hold a line. And that was not satisfactory to Zelensky and the people puppeteering him. Principalities and powers of darkness in high places, feeding the demons. They want their blood. They need even the trauma in the hearts and minds of the people to create fear. What this moment in part reminds me of is the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. And a lot of people thought we were getting ready to kind of wind it down and pull back, and everybody thought we pretty much won the day. And then out of nowhere, the Tet Offensive took place, and they were in the streets in Saigon, and it was a heck of a fight. And the older folks here in the audience will remember all of that. But in the midst of this huge fight, one of the commanders, his close friend, an aide, was killed by somebody essentially working undercover, a spy, and was assassinated. When the commander found out, they caught the guy who had killed his friend in the middle of the street. That very famous shot. You kill spies on sight. He had him stood up and put a bullet through his brains. And the reason I bring that up is because that was a defining moment in many ways of the whole Vietnam War. It was a pivot point because the devil and those monstrous agencies using mind control to move society, they need their trauma-based programming. And so an event like this, where it's so widely visible, part of the terrorism is to capture the minds with that moment that so defines everything that's taken place, like what happened in 9/11, that all of your thoughts from that point forward, all of your actions are somehow skewed, turned by that event. And it condenses your thoughts. It rallies your thoughts. And that's the way it'll be for this generation. I remember watching live as we saw the ruckus and the words, "He's been shot," with Robert Kennedy. And going from elation and excitement and thinking of the possibilities, having won California, to the absolute just shock. And I want to give the people in the audience, people across country, the moment to absorb and think about what just happened. There'll be all sorts of commentary and everything else, but maybe we don't get ahead of ourselves. I'm very thankful to have engaged with Charlie Kirk at different times, to have supported him. And it's actually a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like a piece of art in the life of our society for him to have influenced so many young minds and caused them to think again and to engage and to get into discussions. And that's what he was really doing. He's on the college campus. Over the last couple of days, there was at least 1,000, maybe many, many more, who had signed a petition to not allow him to speak at the college. And the college came out with the statement that, no, we are going to allow for open discussion and dissent, but we're going to have the conversation. And somebody couldn't even have a conversation. And within that spirit, even the demons themselves, the devil himself, look at what happened in the House, where there was a move by a couple of legislators to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk and his passing. And the Democrats wouldn't have it and shouted it down and screamed the venom, the vehemence that they expressed over not even being able to acknowledge a young father, assassinated so publicly. See, that's part of it. Is the terrorism to hearts and minds and souls when something traumatic like this happens, and how it leaves an imprint on the rest of your life. The devil meant this for evil and bad, but all things work together for good to those who know and love Christ Jesus. Okay? He was a believer. And while he's passed, he's now in that stadium of witnesses. The momentum, the energy from his life is with us. He'll get to observe. And we'll get to talk about it in Streets of Glory in time to come, how all of the energy from his life was used constructively by those of us that remain. And this generation of young lives, I'm sure, will repeatedly over the years and generations to come remember and recount how he influenced them to take a step forward, be part of public life, society, and shaping of society in beautiful, positive ways. And that's what I want to be thankful for, prayerful for today. And then, of course, young wife, young children, who will only see images and hear stories about their father, but will have very little actual memories to hold on to moving forward. And God's grace for them in everything that comes forward. And I know that we as a group, as a society, as the patriot movement, if you will not miss any chances to assist and support his wife and children and family as they go through this and move forward from this.
Amen. Amen. You said you sent this thing to me. I'm sure you sent it to Matt too, but it says Charlie Kirk is now the Robert Kennedy of this generation. For we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness in high places. The intensity of his life and light are now burning more brightly than ever in the souls of the millions of young and old who have been touched by him in this world. The cleansing action of a million bright lamps burning in the souls of minds of those who are left behind to continue Charlie's work will relentlessly endeavor to eradicate every dark principality from all their roots and nests in the powerful and high places of our society and world. Let's thank our Father in heaven for every brilliant and beautiful moment Charlie Kirk was with us in this world. We'll meet him again, and we will all enjoy his company and infectious laugh soon enough when we walk together on the golden streets of our Savior's paradise. Godspeed, Charlie. You are my hero. Juan.
Yep.
Juan, that's knowing you and seeing a lot behind the scenes, I know that is in Juan, as you know, and that's genuinely from Juan's heart. And folks wanted me to ask you, Juan, based on what we saw with, the missiles supposedly coming from Russia, but maybe from Ukraine, Article 4 invocation, Ursula, State of the European Union, the leaking of Trump's location last night, is that how do we, people now want vengeance, not just justice. How do we as a movement temper that and not descend into a second French Revolution, but rather a second American Revolution?
In combat, in battle, seasoned warriors operate differently than those that have just arrived. And part of the mindset, the imprint in a seasoned warrior and what they try to convey to the younger guys is that you have to be steady at the wheel. You have to be cognizant of the environment you're in. You can't, I hesitate to say it, but I think it's an important visual. In the movie Born on the 4th of July, you have a young soldier on the battlefield in Vietnam. It's based on a true story. And his friend's head got shot off by a sniper. And he was so enraged that he jumped up and just started spraying the tree line, fully automatic in his M16. And a moment later, the sniper shot him. And he was alive but paralyzed. It took other people to be able to come get him, take him out, get him out of danger's way and take him home, take him to where he was healed up, and he was unfortunately in a wheelchair the rest of his life. Even he would tell you that the emotion of the moment, he threw away wisdom, of clarity. He did something rash that in fact not only damaged the rest of his life, but endangered the people around him beyond just his friend. It was a horrible thing what happened to his friend. He is the one that allowed emotion to cause him to do something wrong. In combat, you can have horrible things happen. You still have to keep your wits about you. If you lose your sense of surroundings, your wits in the middle of the combat, you too can become a victim unnecessarily. There's a saying in the Marines, Matt, you know it, the only good Marine is a live Marine. You do things to stay in the fight, and you don't do stupid things at a critical moment. You have to work your way through, think your way through, keep your wits about you, because one foolish move, one unthought move, and you can be taken out or put others around you in great danger. You've got to work the problem. You hear test pilots when an aircraft that they're testing is going through some monstrous failure. The reason they get to become test pilots at all in the first place is because they can still keep working the problem, thinking their way through, gathering further information for the next guy in case they don't make it, and by keeping processing, working the problem, they have a better chance of making it. If they just throw their hands up and cry and scream, well, they're definitely not going to make it. So, and there's no guarantees here. Look, I've said there's a near-death experience ahead for America, and I believe that's still out there. In fact, when it was looking like we might get this situation in Ukraine with Russia, calmed down, now it's only doubling down, and the threats are getting greater and greater. I've said all along it's going to be like the Cuban Missile Crisis. And Lavrov repeated my words. He's in the camp where we communicated with other people. Even today, I'll tell you that I know of communications out of Russia that were completely unexpected, with whistleblower information coming in related to our situation with Russia. It's a very sensitive situation. I was actually pretty shocked that this reaching out, I was one of the first people called because of some of my history. But the point is, we're in a perilous moment, and we need to prayerfully consider every next move, even our conversations with the people around us. If we sound like, Chicken Little and the sky is falling, it's the end, I think it does a disservice to such a great warrior as Charlie Kirk. Think of all the vitriol, the thousands of people that didn't want to let him speak at the university and other places he's been. He knows he's going into a contentious environment, and yet he's willing to have a conversation and answer questions. And
he wanted to especially speak to folks who did not agree with him. He said, if you disagree with me, come to the front.
Exactly. Okay. And that's what the devil and his crew cannot allow. They can't even allow the beginning of the discussion. I was just on the phone with Nino a few minutes ago, and he was asking what's going to happen next and how's this going to pivot, and it's going to change the world, and it's a defining thing, and all of that. And what I had to say to him, I said, we're not going to be like the other guys. We're in a different moment here. This is a moment when a different emotion will come from us. It's a resolve. And from those that had listened to and heard Charlie Kirk during all of his ministry, all of his work, because it really was a ministry, he was for cooler heads, calmer thoughts, a conversation. Come, let us reason together. That's what he was doing. Come, let us reason together. If you disagree, let's talk it out. You see, the devil wants us to live in his hell, even here on this, in this world, in this earth. But what is hell? Hell is a place where reason doesn't exist. There is no reason. With the death and resurrection of Christ, all who want to be saved, to be reconciled with God our Father in heaven, can be. The scripture says God desires that none should perish, that all would have eternal life. There is no reason to find yourself in hell a few breaths after you leave this world. Yet, hell is a place where reason doesn't exist. There is no reason. Imagine all these people that think that they're having an important, sound conversation. You know, Trump should die. Trump should be in jail. People like Charlie Kirk should be shut up, even assassinated. Their voice should be stopped forever. That's unreasonable. And they think they're having an intelligent conversation. What the problem for them is when they reach hell and they're trying to reason their way through it, there will be no sanity. There will be no reason. There will be no clarity in hell. They will be in a place forever crying out to God, and God doesn't hear them. To, you know, let me out. I did this. I was doing that. I didn't understand. Nobody's listening, because anything that comes back is unreasonable. That's the demons. That's the hellishness of hell, a place where there's no coherent thought. That's, you know, when you're in constant pain, anybody that's been in horrible pain, it's hard to even think straight. And there is no reason, there is no sanity, there is no coherency, no logic in hell. This is an illogical action. It's a hellish action. It's a mark of the demons, the principalities that are trying to own this world, and we will fight them. The war with logic, soundness of mind, and by the hand of God, wisdom, clarity, purity, justice. Justice is coming. And in every situation across the world, that's how we'll win.
That's a lot, because we've got a lot going on right now. Looks like there's a lot going on with the cartels. There's a lot going on in Venezuela. There's a lot going on all over this world. And things have definitely ramped up just over the last little bit. Do you have any thoughts on that? What we should expect like that?
Well, you know, one of the places that nobody's looking at right now, Ecuador has gone into the early stages of a civil war. It's become unglued. Brazil is in a very difficult moment, and I spoke to a lot of people in Brazil yesterday, and they cut me off the feed for the interview I was doing. There is still a desire by the devil and his minions to take South America into some kind of chaotic turmoil, and we pray against that. And we pray that, you know, there's a move of God's people, the church, in all those areas. And it's amazing. And it's coalescing even now. I think we rise up against the madness by prayer. Prayer changes things. And by aligning ourselves with the mind of God, truth, justice, and asking for divine intervention where the madmen would like to prevail. You know, the one thing I think we'll probably find out about this shooter is going to be very similar to a number of these guerrilla type attacks that have occurred over the years, but probably will increase now. And that is the Aurora shooter, under the care of a psychiatrist that's arguably been in the employ of CIA. The Baltimore shooter, remember several years ago when he goes in with the shotgun and he has all sorts of inscriptions on the gun, and he says that he's being talked to in his brain by people harassing him out of the government. Well, direct to brain communications with various devices is a very real thing. It's not sci-fi. It's been around for quite a long time. And we have other people who have acted similarly, and there appears to be mind control manipulation that's taken place with them to do what they've done. And in fact, I was in a conversation just recently with somebody who had a direct relationship with somebody who was going through a transgender thing. And they said that they kept getting talked to in their mind, and they had a particular background that was military. And the conclusion of the counselor was that, in fact, somebody was working this person who was not vulnerable, but was weakened over time with an injury and had drugs and hospitalization, and they broke him. And some type of mind control operation that they were a victim of. It may be more prevalent than makes sense to us or we understand, but I think there's a much more active, expansive operation to drill holes in our society through various types of mind control, both of individuals and then us as a society. This event, done this way, even if you only ascribe it to the devil himself, is part of a broader theme to bring mind control to the masses, how we see the world, how we engage with the world around us, the people around us, our levels of trust. Even as influencers, you know, Matt, I had a beautiful series of meetings over the weekend and last week with folks out in Washington, D.C., and we had a pretty nice conclave there with a couple dozen folks. And one of the people who everybody in this audience is probably very familiar with, he and I had a chance to spend quite a bit of time privately working on some projects that we needed to review together. And at one point, the conversation had gone to vulnerability in public situations. And he said, you know, I've been pretty bold and didn't really care, but my wife's gotten more concerned just recently, and we've decided to cut back on that. We just think that's something God's kind of imprinted on us for the moment, that we're going to throttle back a little bit. And I would have to say that I got similar kinds of input from a number of people around me, and you know that, Matt, even over the last few weeks, because of exactly what just happened here today. The idea.
If I could, what did I share with you? You know the other dreams I've shared, and I've had literally 4 of those in my life that seem real. And the last one I had, the one before that dealt with you, which was weird because it was only things that you would know that I had no clue about. And the second one I had was I was being picked up by some dark force. It was in some hotel room, shoved against a mirror. And this thing was raging because it wanted you, and it was trying to find you through me, and it threw me back. And I called you the next day and let you know something evil was looking for you.
Well, and take the only thing I would add to that, Matt, and to everyone out here, it's just like what Trump says. They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Really, everyone here in this audience, you've all been holding a particular standard. You're all in this fight. Some may stand out more glaringly at different times, but we're all under attack. And then the people around us, the loved ones around us, if we're a husband, head of a household, a single mom with kids, you're heading the household if you get down to it. An older brother to siblings. You're a guard against a lot of evil, demonology aimed at your family, yourself. And if they can get through you, they can get to the more vulnerable ones beyond you with imagery. Maybe you don't want them doing the video game that's, rape, murder, skulls, everything else. Getting the shirt that, encourages certain, horrors with the imagery, etc. I would use this, on a traumatic day like this, think of the family members as they leave the hospital, as they go to other places, walking through the store. How would they be affected seeing somebody's laughing skull imagery, demon imagery on a shirt, making light of death and horrors? Do you want to be part of that? Part of what we do to overcome evil is to bring out beauty, to bring light, to celebrate purity and beautiful colors, not the darkness that would encompass this world. And so something like that should resolve in all of our minds that we will not be purveyors of dark imagery, dark thoughts, dark ideas, but we'll seek to plant beauty and to see it grow and bloom and
probably got a phone call.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Earth the One. I'm sure he did. He's getting a lot.
We can hear you, Juan.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had an incoming call. I had to send it to outer space, so
No problem.
But I would hope that that's what people would focus on today. Instead of focusing on retribution, revenge, God's justice is on its way. We will see justice served, and it won't just be in our lifetime, it'll be in near time. And a process of doing that, we're not doing lynchings. We're seeing justice. They'll get their day in court. They'll get to be heard, even at the great white throne judgment before God. Your whole life is shown before you. And, you get a chance to make an account of yourself. But then the judgment. I believe Charlie is a believer, operated with that in mind, knowing there was a and operating accordingly and enjoying a blessing that allowed him the latitude and the opportunity to be a tool of God, live his dream, help others. And, maybe now we know why it was so important for him to be able to operate so intensely. Those of us remaining, I think we'll all work with a greater resolve, understanding the reality of the threats, but we're not stopping. We will power forward, and our ranks won't get smaller, they'll get larger. That's where this is going.
Amen. What are your thoughts on this new deal with Tucker Carlson coming out about, I don't know, it's a 3 or 5 point series or something that is talking about 9/11. Have you dove into that?
Well, that's a really, really, really important thing. Kurt Weldon did an interview with Tucker several months back, and Kurt Weldon was a 20-year congressman who got an October surprise 3 weeks to the election. People in the FBI tied into the Bush administration and later the Obama administration. They did a little sneak surprise, arrested or went to his daughter's house and literally took very famously with the media there, as though it was coming for Congressman Weldon, who, by the way, had been to Russia at Putin's personal request as a guest of Putin, and then was shown their nuclear stockpile. And then the generals told him that they were missing not 10, not 20, not 100, 200 of what they describe as demolition nuclear devices. That's their terminology for a small tactical nuke, what we might commonly refer to as a suitcase nuke. That in going through their inventory after the collapse of the Soviet Union, they were unable to locate 200 of these small tactical demolition nukes, and that it was their conclusion that during the Gorbachev administration, during the Cold War under Reagan, that those nukes had been conveyed to Iran, to the mullahs. They would have been timing out on their ability to be used on the triggers because there's certain maintenance that has to be done in order to keep them functional. But it would give you fissile material, and if you could, reconstruct, upgrade those triggers, then they would be usable. So Kurt Weldon, tried to convey that back here domestically. Well, there wasn't anybody that wanted to hear that. And then they took him out because he was in position. This is after 9/11, in the election coming up to 2008, which Obama won. In that election period, just 3 weeks to go, he was the clear winner. His colleagues in Congress and a number of people decided that they were going to vote for him as the
Chairman of the House Armed Services
Chairman
Committee.
of the House Oversight. Yeah, Armed Services Committee, which is a very, 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 very powerful position, probably arguably the most powerful position in Congress. And the threat of him getting into that position was monstrous because he would then be able to have subpoena power. He could force depositions looking into 9/11. Well, why would that be a big deal to him? Because he was a fire chief before he became a congressman. And all the information, all the stories about 9/11 and what actually happened on that day just don't pass scrutiny at any level, especially Building 7, for example. And so Congressman Weldon was going to have those hearings come hell or high water. Well, that was a bridge too far for certain people. Government, they had to do whatever they had available to them to take him out, and they did with this raid on his daughter's house, just trying to destroy his reputation, etc. It was all baseless. In fact, after he lost his election, they brought everything back to the daughter's house. Not one box that had been taken into custody was ever opened. There was never any charges. It did what they wanted to do, keep him from getting into office. And then as a result of all that, he's been in the background fighting to get to 9/11 truth, 9/11 justice. And his big right now, this moment, is that, and I totally 1000% agree with him, we need a presidential commission to look at 9/11. No other authority has the reach to go in and look at the military grade weapons that were used in that event and preparations. Additionally, 9/11 isn't just enough. We need the Presidential Commission to also have authority to look at Maui with the Lahaina fires, the Paradise and Palisades fires in California, and about 100 other incidents that have occurred around the globe that are clearly energy weapons, military grade. No civilian FBI or anything like that, or even congressional committee will have the authority to go in and look at where our weapons are at, who had authority to have access to them or even use them, on what basis. And by the way, there's no question this isn't Russia and it's not China. So we're going to have to, at some point, get to the bottom of what's been going on with these military energy, directed energy weapons. And only President Trump, Commander-in-Chief Trump, will have ultimately the authority needed to go into those dark places and get to the truth of it. And let me add this. I believe we're going to, before it's all over with, have to once again do what was done, now 50 years ago, almost, with the church committee hearings. We're going to have to go in and find out what's going on at these three-letter agencies, because the mind control weapons and other things that are still being used by three-letter agencies against American citizens and around the world, that has got to be addressed. And it would not surprise me in the slightest to find a connection once again with whoever did this with Charlie Kirk to some broader mind control operation. The Aurora shootings, the Baltimore shipyard stuff, and many other incidents around the country that have occurred, including, by the way, even the October 1 Vegas shooting. That is not in any way, shape, or form what was conveyed to the public. It's something else far more sinister, and three-letter agencies have their fingers all over that. And,
I know of late Juan Roger Stone, who is working with some of our colleagues to help reveal high-level bipartisan fraud in the Silver State. He's of late going after Lombardo and telling Kash, hey, maybe you should look at Lombardo. Ask him to ask questions, answer questions about 1 October.
Well, there is a in the western states of political criminality that I believe will not survive the scrutiny that's already on its way. And we should not be surprised. But there is a theme of justice is coming, and that's why we're in these rarefied moments. The devil and his minions, the powers behind the throne, the puppeteers that remain behind in the shadows, and the shadow government itself, SES. Their day is coming, because their actions will be brought to light, and their coordination in all these things. And it is a fight. It is a battle. It is. If you don't think it's scary, then you're not really understanding the magnitude of the monsters that we're fighting with. And, as I was mentioning a moment ago, this person who I got to spend some private time with, I don't think any of us, including Charlie Kirk, were or are unaware of the fragility of the moments that we're in, or our own well-being, but for the hand of God, just like with President Trump. And so my prayer is that every demon be bound, that those dark forces be brought into the light, and that God's will be done for America and its people, its patriots.